Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Wait a minute, I'll be just right out. Now, it's rather windy today, isn't it? Gorgeous weather otherwise. Perhaps it's not a hot day right now. No. Some of you may have remembered about a year ago I made a tribute episode to Top Gear / Grand Tour, and as it was a huge success, nearly 20 people saw it, and in that I have just bought a Mercedes C-Class, and my road test of it was cut short by editing. So, and as I hated that C-Class, it was ruined by yobos, it was slammed, and it had ridiculous tires on, and exhaust was broken. And as I hated it so much, I decided to buy myself another one. This time the ridiculous tires and rims have been changed by these gorgeous Mercedes original alloy wheels, which are, I suppose, from E-Class, and as they are 1 inch taller than the C-Class original rims, I cannot reverse and do full lock on the steering wheel because it starts to scrape on the wheel arches. And once again, it has been slammed. Annoying. I mean, if it hasn't been slammed, the wheels would turn properly and I could drive it properly, but anyway. So, starting with the looks. I mean, obviously nowadays this is rather conservative, but back in the day it was a rather striking looking, and I remember looking at the old magazines when I was about yay big, the pictures of this C-Class, and I just always wanted one. Still like the looks. I mean, it's pretty conservative, but it's sort of sleek, and those rear lights and all, it's just nice looking thing. And it's pretty much the same story in the interior as well. Everything is rather conventional and conservative perhaps, but it is very well thought of. I mean, everything is very well where you expect it to be, apart from this whisker thing, which you operate the high and low beams, and then the blinkers left and right, like so. And then for some reason, I don't know why Mercedes thought that would be a good idea to just jam all the controls into one little whisker on the left side of the steering wheel. I mean, then when you want to operate the windscreen wipers, you have to twist this knob. What were they thinking of? I mean, there's room for two, obviously, and you have two hands. Why don't you have two whiskers to operate? It would be so much, just like the German engineers thought that I know what the car needs. Some inconvenience, perhaps. That's a terrible Russian accent. Not even Russian. But anyway, other than that, whisker nonsense, it's very, very nice place to, and very well thought of, and it actually feels 10 years younger than it is. 1994. Like it could have been launched in the 2000s or something. Perhaps this center console here is a little bit 90-ish. One more issue with this particular car is that the lock thing has been changed, as you can see, and as the passenger door lock is pretty badly jammed in, it sort of raises the suspicion that the car has been stolen at some point of its days. But let's get on cracking. Let's see what this car is made of, shall we? As you see, the bioethanol adapter which I installed here doesn't work perfectly on this car. There's actually quite a bit of snow on the glass. Hold on a minute. There we go. Now the producing Jules did give me a permission to do another of these road test malarkeys, as long as I don't have any fun. Well, I'll try my best. Like I said, everything in here is right where you expect it to be. But then again, and Germans do have a knack for that sort of thing. Everything needs to be in the order. German scallywags. What will you do next? First there was a Hitler and now this 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder engine with 122 brake horsepower when it was new. I think it was lost a few. Now you may think that 122 horsepower sounds pretty enough for an ordinary car, just sort of ordinary places, and it would be if the car didn't weigh 100 million tons like this one does. Although this car, compared to the previous one, don't have passenger airbag, electric windows, heated front seats. It doesn't have air conditioning, which saves I don't know, about 20 kilos or something. But this has something much better than the air conditioning. This is sunshine roof. Time I can open this up and the world will come in sunshine and bird poo and dust and small rocks. Anyway, it still is very heavy car, and at 122 horsepower it's just not enough to move it around. But that brings me to another thing, because I did try to find a 2 liter or even 2.4 liter. Sorry. 4-liter engine ones. But there seems to be that the older ones with the bigger engines, they have traction control fitted, and they don't even have a button to turn it off. What's the point in that? I mean, the only reason to buy a rear-wheel drive car is to have fun in it, period. There's no other reason. It just makes the car more complicated. You have to drive the power through here to the back wheels. It compromises the rear leg room, it compromises the boot space, it compromises the sort of structural easiness of it. I mean, with a front wheel drive car you can have it all in the same single package there under the hood, turning the front wheels. And if you don't want to mess about and have fun in it, it just doesn't matter. There's just no point having a rear wheel drive car if you're then gonna fit it with a traction control to prevent you from sliding about. It's just like having a non-alcoholic beer. It's disgusting and stupid. Which brings me to another issue that I have with the rear-wheel drive cars: drifting. I mean the Malaki where yobos drive on a tarmac surface, smoking their rear wheels, and utter rubbish. That, I mean, you can just have ordinary car, just make it grip less. If you wanna drive on tarmac, there's all kinds of plastic caps you can put on top of the tires and make it grip hell of a lot less, so you can have much more fun, ordinary speeds. And god damn, that ride is firm. I mean, this is the Esprit model, which was already a bit lower and a bit firmer, the suspension. And I actually met the guy who have done this slamming job. I forgot to ask the man, what on earth were you thinking of? Sorry. It's just sorry, edit that out. But anyway, no, come on. Leave the suspension of your car alone. You're just gonna ruin it if you do something to it. I think I made an empty promise to producing Jules there, because the only reason to buy a car with a rear-wheel drive is to have fun in it. There's one problem with the rear-wheel drive car: getting it going in the first place. Actually, that traction control comes in handy, but it's just, you can just remedy that with some caution. It's just endless bit of fun. Oh. Let's go with the... That's what the rear-wheel drive cars are for. Come on. To just drive about and yobo like you would on a ice tracks or something like that. That's just useless rubbish. But when you are just driving to the shops and to your friends and do your activities and work, you can might as well have fun whilst doing that. This is actually very slippery now. So in conclusion, little drawbacks here and there, mainly the weight of the thing and too light steering. Other than that, it's just very, very good car and fun, as long as you live in somewhere where there is snow and ice. It's not new car, but it works and it will work. Just change the oils and coolants and maintain it a little bit. It is as reliable as a new car, perhaps even more so. As I was just saying, that a car is so reliable, and then the windscreen wiper stopped working. Well, you live and learn. Then again, it's an old car. It's about to be a little foibles. Like for instance the temperature-o-meter. It's a bit funky. You have to knock it about a little bit to get the proper reading. Proper use of violence just solves everything. I mended the windscreen wiper with the proper use of violence once again. There's a fellow Mercedes driver. Hello. That actually reminds me of another thing that I just thought of. When I bought this, I went to the local dealership in Tampere, the Mercedes dealership, and I was trying to buy some spare parts. And the moment I got in to the dealership and I tried to ask the dealer about the spare parts and whatnot, there was some whole bunch of old Mercedes men, I call them, that gathered around and started to listen and start to communicate with me about Mercedes and driving them. And you can find the spare keys and there and go check that and ask that guy and that guy. It's just like a community. It's like a Mercedes man is completely different species of humankind. It's just a fabulous thing. I do have to apologize for my lower lip. I know it looks disgusting. I have a really bad case of herpes. There, I said it on the internet. But anyway, it does raise a rather big question. I mean, the build quality and ride comfort and the interior design and everything, reliability. Why do people buy new cars? I mean, I can't think of any reason why. There is the price to be considered, but the value for money for this thing beggars belief, because there it goes like a new car. I mean, I paid 800 euros for this, and all the repairs that I had to do, it sums up to 1200, just 1200. And yes, obviously there is still a lot to be done within a year or so, but I'll bet you any money that it is a hell of a lot less than what a new car depreciates in a year, because that's gonna be enormous. Thousands. And of course, emissions. New cars are much more efficient. But when you convert this old cars to drive bioethanol, or if it's a diesel, you can use biodiesel, which is already available here in Finland at least. And you can convert these old cars to use natural gas, methane. You can even convert them to electric if you have the money. And I still think if you buy one of these, around €1,000 or such, and convert them to electric if you fancy that, you're still better off. And you don't have to buy new materials. You can keep this going on forever if you want to. You can buy spare parts, maintain and repair, and just no need to buy a new one. Just buy old one and upgrade. I think that's that. There's nothing more to say. No töysässäkö sulla on hyvä olla? Sorry, it's a little bit of Finnish there. A friend of ours used to say. It's a long story, I don't bother with it. Goodbye.